G'day and welcome to our brand new podcast, Either Side of Nhill. I'm Ben Kempster, born and bred here in Adelaide and absolutely love my hometown. Christy is my fabulous cousin in Melbourne, and I can't think of anyone else I would love to do this podcast with more and to talk about all the great things going on in SA and Victoria and all the places in between. How you going, Christy?
Well, hello there. And yes, welcome to Either Side of Nhill. What a great name for our podcast, Ben. It's so perfect.
Isn't it?
You're one side of Nhill, I'm the other side of Nhill. So it just has to be Either Side of Nhill. G'day, everyone. Hi, my name is Christy. And yes, it's a fact. It's true. Ben and I are cousins and we have been busting to do a podcast together for ages. But I have to warn you folks, Ben is bloody funny.
Well, so are you. But anyway, like I was saying, I believe I was saying that I wanted to start, wanted to start this podcast, and it was important that it's something with purpose, not just two people just chatting. We wanted some meat on the bones. So we were spitballing, brainstorming. We had the butcher's paper out. It was all over the walls, Post-it notes flying everywhere, the how, why, what of what we wanted to do. And we thought about the halfway mark between Adelaide and Melbourne, and it's Nhill. Well, not sure if that's geographically correct. The ABC fact checkers are probably looking into it right now, but it is halfway for our family. And we do have a bit of history in Nhill, which we might be able to talk about another time.
Oh, my God, yeah. But in our strategic planning meeting for Either Side of Nhill, also known as FaceTime with Ben, we were thinking, well, why don't we talk about all the awesome, fun stuff that's happening in our states right now? But every podcast, we always have to come back to Nhill. So it ties in perfectly, right, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely.
So each episode will have a theme, and if you haven't already guessed, this episode, our first ever Other Side of Nhill episode, is a Christmas and New Year theme.
That's right. It's been such a big year. We're ready to break up already. So we're topping from the bottom, and this is our Christmas breakup party. Great year, everyone. Well done. Big round of applause for us. It's been amazing.
Go, Christy, you legend.
Who said that? Well done to us for starting at the end of the year and coming in hot for that Either Side of Nhill breakup party. Crack the champagne, and I can't wait for the KK. It should be fun. Chris Kringle, bring it
on. I'm pretty sure you're going to guess who your KK's from, Ben. But I thought the $5 limit was a bit rough. Anyway, enjoy the favourite, so half price at Safeway.
We call it Woolies here in SA, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, yeah. We converted to Safeway back this side. Hey, Ben, before we crack on with our pod, it might be a good idea to give a little bit of background to who we are, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm Christy and I live in Melbourne. I've done all my life. I work at Swinburne Uni and my background is in market research, focusing on customer experience, marketing, communications, all that admin-y stuff. But do you know what I can – hang on, let's start again. But do you know I can do a lot of stuff, Ben? I'm not going to bore you to death on our first pod.
Please.
But this year I started a podcast at work with an awesome colleague and it snowballed. Not out of control, Ben, but let me tell you, it has snowballed and I've found a new passion.
Oh, that's awesome.
A bit about me, I love cycling, Tour de France, tennis, and, of course, the Australian Open, and I'm always at the beach, which is my happy place. Oh, also, I'm a Capricorn.
That's very important. We need to know the star signs. That's right. I'm Sagittarius, just so you know. I work in procurement, right? Crickets. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone knows what procurement is. We just buy lots of stuff. So that's my day job. I have a fantastic group of people that I work with. They're so good to work with. But I love doing lots of things. I love playing piano and cooking and spending time with the family. And I love doing some stand-up comedy. And I'll often get along to one of the best open mics in Adelaide, which is Cranker Comedy. You should check it out. Ross Voss. He's an Adelaide icon. I was also a personal trainer for 10 years, which I'm not doing anymore. And I trained some brilliant people over the years that I'm still friends with today. Now I just try and stay kind of fit myself and train with mates and try and keep active if I can. I love my hometown of Adelaide and love getting out and about with my wife, Sarah, and my 7-year-old lad. There's so much to do and see, whether it's the Botanic Gardens or lots of stuff that's actually free around the city and around the suburbs. And I can't wait to talk about some of the great stuff that happens here. And of course,
awesome.
I love catching up with my cousin Christy, which we've done all our lives, but we've been doing a lot more lately since we've been putting our podcast together. So that's been awesome.
I know. It's such a benefit, Ben. I love seeing you. So this is awesome.
Have we said awesome too much?
My God. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right.
So the theme of our first podcast is Christmas in Melbourne and Adelaide, and we want to share some of the amazing things that I did it again. Amazing. I know, awesome and amazing that are happening in our cities right now as we head into the silly season. Melbourne has been battling it out over lockdown after lockdown, and it's all opening up at the moment, which is just so good. Adelaide, we've been fairly open throughout all of this, which has been great. A little bit cautious at the moment. We've opened up a bit more our borders. There's a few exposure sites, but I have to say that Adelaide has been so good through all of this. Most people try really hard to be super careful and look after each other. So there's lots to do in and around the city. We just need to make sure that we take care of each other.
Yeah, that's so true, Ben. But so why don't I tell you, this week I was actually in the city and I walked down the Bourke Street Mall. It was really good to be in the city, and it has been fair income ages, and I loved it, Ben.
Yeah.
You know, I only live 9 Ks out of the city, but I haven't been there for such a long period of time, and it was bright and shiny. It was beautifully decorated. So why don't I tell you what I saw?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so coming down the Bourke Street Mall, if you can sort of envisage that, is really like heaps of Christmas decorations across the tops from like Myer across to the other side of the mall. And, of course, we've got the Myer Christmas windows. The famous Myer Christmas windows have been going for 66 years, and they had the Christmas display there for everyone to see, and it's sort of like a rite of passage for parents to take their kids there. FYI, my mum never took me there.
You didn't get that rite of passage.
Nah, for most people in brackets. But this year the theme is Peter Rabbit, and cool. It's free. So you just line up, and it's all really clearly marked out with COVID spacing. And as I was strolling by down the Bourke Street Mall, I could see it was really, really pretty. And then as I came, I took a right-hand turn down Swanston Street and the Melbourne Town Hall, and it's wrapped up like a massive Christmas present. It looks magnificent, yeah.
Cool.
It's got giant toy soldiers guarding the front doors. There's great big giant wreaths, and there's massive signage promoting Christmas in the city. And Ben, I don't know if you know, but we've got an amazing Lord Mayor. Her name's Sally Capp.
Yes.
And she's been working absolutely tirelessly, it's a hard word to say, with all my false teeth, promoting Melbourne as a place to visit again. And we'll chuck up some of these images on our brand new Instagram page, which is at either side of Nhill.
Going off now.
Yeah, oh my God, it's going off like a frog in a sock. There's people, following us. It's great. So we'll chuck all this in the Instagram. But then as I walk down towards Flinders Street Station, so you're following me in your mind's eye.
Absolutely.
Fed Square's on the left-hand side, and Fed Square is like the heart of Melbourne. It's right opposite Flinders Street Station, and there's the most giant Christmas tree. But the best bit is to see these giant seagulls, and they're called Festive Fred and Fifi the Fed Square Seagull. They're mascots, and they're massive, and they're all dressed up, So
are they people in costumes, or what's the story?
No, they're like about 30-foot seagulls.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're huge seagulls. So it's hard to say. Festive Fred and Fifi the Fed Square Seagull.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So, really cool. So you can't miss them next to the most giant Christmas tree ever, super decorated. But then the most amazing thing that has just started, and it's only for the month of December, It's zip lining across the Yarra.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Yeah. So from the Fed Square side across to the other side of the Yarra.
Okay.
And it's amazing. It's called Firefly Zipline. So it's set up on the Fed Square side, as I said, and then just goes straight over the Yarra. It's one way, but there's two lines. So you could go with a buddy.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's height and weight restrictions, but I looked into it and I think prices for kids were like $39 and adults are $49. But yeah, check it out if you're in Melbs. But it looks really cool. I hope they keep it, right?
Yeah.
Because that would be so much fun. And I feel like they've just it's just for the month of December, but hopefully, I don't know, if it's a success, they might continue. So yeah, we'll chuck all these links in our Instagram page, but so you can check it out yourself.
I couldn't help but think, I mean, you couldn't fall off, surely. You couldn't actually fall into the Yarra, could you? You could just
no, you're all harnessed in, yeah. And it's obviously hopefully they've done the right safety checks.
Let's assume they have.
yeah, but it looks proper.
Oh yeah, it looks safe from a distance.
Fun. Yeah, on Instagram it looks good.
Oh wow, that sounds like heaps of fun.
So now I've banged on a bit about Melbourne. Why don't you tell us what's happening in Adelaide, Ben?
Well, Adelaide does get very much into Christmas, I have to say, and there's so much on. What I thought I would do is tell you some of the things that happen that we as a family actually take part in and do and go and see. But then I've actually had
really lovely.
Yeah, all right. And then there's a few other things that are happening too. I mean, there is so much, but I'll just try and summarise it as best I can. One of the biggest thing that we like to do is go to the Carols by Candlelight, which is at Civic Park. Mm-hmm. Now that's in the northeastern suburbs in the Tea Tree Gully Council, for those of you that know Adelaide, and it's actually one of the biggest Carols by Candlelight events in the country. It's bigger than the one that actually normally happens in the city. So this year sadly they had to cancel it last year. This year it was tickets. You had to actually get tickets. They were free, but numbers were limited to I think 10,000 or something like that. But normally they get over 40,000 people at this Carols by Candlelight. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
And Civic Park is a huge, big, beautiful green park with a big hill, so it's perfect for sort of sitting up and watching this concert. Some really talented local people, Mark Oates, Andrew Crisp, Peter Johns, who is a really well-known guy in the musical world here in Adelaide. He normally gets the orchestra going as musical director, and there's a whole lot of other people. And, of course, Santa drops by for a visit. So normally there's fireworks. This year there's no fireworks, and I think it might be because of the temperature. I'm not sure. It's going to be a really hot weekend. But that's on the 12th of December, which is a Sunday, and it may have actually passed by the time our podcast goes out, but that's something that we do every single year when we can. This year, sadly, we missed out on a ticket, but that's okay. The pageant is huge. So we have a Christmas pageant that normally weaves its way through the city. It's a tradition. It's been going since 1933, if you can believe that, which is, in modern times, it's fairly recent. And normally people get there at ridiculous, stupid o'clock hours. Like, they put their kids at the front of the row, at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, sit there until you see a float come down the road. So
don't move.
It gets pretty crazy. So I used to go in as a kid when it wasn't quite so crazy. But can I share a really quick, scary story about what happened to me at the pageant? And I was a little bit traumatized. But when you're a kid, things seem a lot more scary and you don't know the context. But there was this float, and for some reason there were witches. I don't know if it was Wizard of Oz or what it was, but these witches had these nets, and they were coming up and putting nets over kids' heads. And so this witch came up and put a net over my head, and it terrified me. And then there was this other float where they was kind of throwing what was probably magic dust, but it was actually just sand. And so, this is back in the 80s. This is kids' entertainment. They're throwing sand. So the sand and the net just kind of traumatized me a little bit, and that's obviously stayed with me into my adulthood. But hey, look,
so sorry to hear that. Sounds pretty scary.
It was pretty scary. But other than that, look, it's a brilliant institution of Adelaide. And now the last couple of years it's been at Adelaide Oval. So again, you've got to get some tickets, and it's been at Adelaide Oval. So there's spectators in the stands and people just watch it.
Right. Right.
So it works really well. So the floats sort of come in, do a couple of loops and then go out again. And you can always watch it live on TV. So if you can't actually get along, if you don't get a ticket. So, but a lot of our country towns have pageants here. That's a bit of a thing. Do you have that in Victoria, do you know? Or
I know where my brother lives down Frankston way, they have like a fire truck that comes around the suburbs and throws out lollies to all the kids. And, that's fun. And the kids used to always look forward to that. And I don't know, I guess there are like, all I can think of is like the fire trucks coming through the main drag of town and, throwing out lollies and sitting on, having an opportunity to meet Santa afterwards and stuff like that. So I guess there is, but I'm not that familiar with it. Okay. So, but I know that the pageant, didn't it used to be called was it the John Martin?
It was John Martin's, which was a department store here in Adelaide, but John Martin's is no longer. So then it was sponsored by other. So now it's kind of like the sponsor and then the Christmas pageant. And
like Super Cheap Auto.
That's it. Exactly.
Repco.
That's it. The Repco Christmas pageant, It really aligns with their brand, I think. So
yeah. Oh, cool. So what else is happening in Adelaide then?
The other thing that we do go and see in Victoria Square, which is right in the middle of Adelaide, much like you said with Fed Square, there is a giant Christmas tree. So that's really cool to hear that there's one in Fed Square as well. So this thing is huge, and people encourage families to come along. And there's a big lawn area in Victoria Square now, and there's one of those outdoor water parks, where the water squirts up.
Fun.
So in summer it's perfect because all the kids, get soaked, and there's big digital displays on the tree, and you can get up really close and have a look, and it's just stunning. So as you're coming down King William Street from either side, then you can see this Christmas tree right in the heart of Adelaide, which is great. So there are three things that we always do. We either watch the pageant or we'll go and see the tree and get to the carols if we can, usually. There's heaps of other stuff happening this year. There's a Christmas cracker trail.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I haven't heard of that before. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I think it's fairly simple. You just download an app. There's like 14 or so sites I think you can get to through Adelaide and North Adelaide, which is just north of Adelaide and not that far at all.
Thanks for the GPS clarification there, Ben.
I know my geography, that's right. But I haven't actually done it, but it sounds like something really cool you could do with kids or nieces and nephews or the grandies or whatever you want to do, and get a bit of exercise, burn off some of the sugar that the kids have probably been eating around Christmas time. But there's stacks of other stuff. There's a Lord Mayor's concert at Adelaide Town Hall, which is a beautiful building, a beautiful concert hall. Moonlight Cinema, which goes right through January. And the City Library, which again is probably, if not the most stunning building in Adelaide, it's definitely one of the most stunning buildings. There's actually an exhibition on the pageant because, as I said, the pageant's been around since 1933. So if you love your history and photos and old footage and all of that sort of stuff, then you can go to the City Library and actually check out the People's Pageant exhibition. There's so much more. I could go on and on, but there were just some of the highlights, and you can get heaps more information from the Adelaide City Council website.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see that the cities are starting to come alive a little bit more, and, people out and about.
Yes.
Excuse me, just coming back to record this podcast this morning, Saturday morning, traffic is absolutely insane.
Oh, really? Crazy.
Unbelievable, yeah. So, but that's Melbourne for you.
That's it.
So why don't I tell you about New Year's Eve? So this is our Christmas New Year's Eve special, folks.
It is.
So why don't I tell you a little bit about something that's amazing and what's going to be happening in Melbourne. This year, we'll not only have the beautiful fireworks down at Docklands, Treasury Gardens, and also in the city, but I love it how they use the buildings for the fireworks and the light display as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be really cool. But this year, Melbourne's New Year's Eve midnight fireworks, Ben, are going to have a little bit of competition-oni this year.
Oh, tell me more.
To ring out 2021, Melbourne is hosting Australia's largest ever drone display.
Oh, cool.
So, this is going to be way cool. So with 350 drones taking to the sky to wow audiences with a dazzling aerial performance. The 7-minute drone swarm will take place over Docklands, so down at Victoria Harbour. It'll lap around there twice, and then that'll come in just before the 9:30 and then midnight fireworks display. So the Lord Mayor, good old Sally Capp, said that basically lighting up the sky will be with all these 350 drones is going to be like the first drone show of this scale to take place in the Southern Hemisphere. So it's going to be amazing. And particularly like if there's fire, like if there's heat waves and all that sort of stuff, what do they call them? The bushfire restrictions.
Oh, yeah, restrictions. Okay, yeah.
So sometimes they have to cancel the fireworks displays or limit them, but this, they won't need to. So, that's really going to be super cool.
That's awesome. And drone swarm does sound slightly terrifying.
It does, doesn't it?
There's a drone swarm. But,
where's the more team? Thank you.
That's right. But they did something like that at the Olympics, and it was unbelievable. It was just incredible. Yeah. It was amazing. So that is going to be so cool. Wow.
Yeah. So what's happening in Adelaide New Year's Eve, Ben?
Okay, so New Year's Eve in Adelaide, normally we have a giant New Year's Eve fireworks spectacular kind of thing going on. I rolled my R there, but it didn't kind of work.
I didn't notice.
Sorry. It was that backpacking I did in Spain all those years ago. I just can't shake it, you know. But we can't have the giant fireworks because of you know what. But, you know, the city, and they did this last year, they've been really creative with a lot of smaller events around the CBD and the East End, which is a really cool part of the city, and in North Adelaide as well. So what they've tried to do is have events that are close to a smaller fireworks display. So, and they do the same thing where they'll have the 9:30 fireworks and then they'll have the midnight fireworks. So if you've got little kids that you want to get home, you can. That's what's happening in the city. For us as a family, we're either home kind of just because we live on a bit of a hill, we can see fireworks locally if they're happening, which is cool. But we do go to the shack at the beach sometimes. And if we make it to midnight, which, you know, doesn't always happen in the older vintages, then if we get there, we'll have a few sparklers, maybe have a glass of champagne or a beer to celebrate. But you can actually go down on the beach and see some around the coastline. You can see people doing their little, you know, backyard type fireworks displays, and, you know, they shoot off sideways, or they're just these little things that just come flying out of nowhere. But that's kind of cool. You can see a fair way around the coast, which is fun. So when we're down the beach, we do that. And, you know, Sarah's dad, my wonderful father-in-law, has been known to go and have a snooze and then come back for the countdown.
Style. Yeah, I like that.
Sometimes he doesn't emerge again. He's like, I'll be back, and then you never see him again, but until the next year. But it's pretty cool. I actually love a low-key New Year's Eve myself. I do love it when you just have the close family around you and you can have a drink, have a sparker, and it's heaps of fun.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
Yeah. And how are you celebrating Christmas, Ben? What's the plan for you and the family?
We are a bit disorganised this year. We haven't actually worked out exactly what we're doing, but we are having a wider Christmas family dinner with Sarah's family coming up this weekend, which is great. But what we're actually doing Christmas Day, we don't know. Mum sometimes stays Christmas Eve, or we might catch my brother and sister-in-law and my niece and nephew on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day is usually lunch at my in-laws for roast, pudding, custard, ice cream, pav. That goes on and on and on. My mother-in-law knows how to cater for the masses, that's for sure. And my father-in-law does a pretty mean roast on the barbecue as well. So maybe
is that when he's awake?
Yeah. He generally stays awake for Christmas Day. But having said that, there are a few afternoon sleeps that sometimes happen.
Compulsory.
Absolutely compulsory, because then you've got to get ready for Christmas night. We'll either go home for Christmas night, or we might stay at my in-laws and just eat leftovers. But again, it's pretty low key, and we just keep it to the immediate family usually, which I love. But what about you, Christy? What's happening for you? Are we allowed to mention the fact that your birthday is very close to Christmas, isn't it? So you have a bit of a double celebration going on.
Yeah, my birthday's Boxing Day, so it's all kind of it's all messy, but it's going to be a really chill day. First up, we'll go and see my partner's mum, and we'll have a cuppa with her and probably some shortbread, which I love. It'd be nice to see her, and then we'll come home and make some salads for dinner and make sure that prawns are defrosted, and then we head down to my brother's house, and he's got 3 kids and they love Christmas, and we love seeing them Christmas Day. They've got a pool, so if it's hot, we'll have a bit of a swim. But we have a family tradition which is only played on Christmas Day, and it's a game called Consequences, and it's familiar to both our families, Ben's and mine, and we laugh so much. We have to cap it at only 3 rounds. It's great fun. The kids look forward to it, and we team up and gang up on each other. It's heaps and heaps
Maybe
of fun.
In another episode we can talk a bit more about how Consequences works, and our listeners can try it. It's so much fun. It's good.
Yeah. So we'll be encouraging people to, comment and, make comment and talk about what we've captured here on the podcast. So on our Instagram page, Either Side of Nhill.
We're all over the socials.
Now that we've just so much. Now that we've discussed what's happening either side of Nhill, Ben, why don't we actually check into what's happening in Nhill?
Well, I've got to say you've done a lot of research. You've been reaching out to the city of Nhill. They're like everyone's talking in the streets going, who is this Christy character? I've had a phone call from her. I've got a voicemail from her. So why don't you tell us what you found out about what happens in the city of Nhill?
Alrighty, so Christmas in Nhill, peeps. I've spoken to somebody which will remain nameless, but at the Nhill Golf Club, it's closed on Christmas Day but open on Boxing Day, not for meals, but I was chatting to the representative there, and he or she said, yes, Nhill is getting into the Christmas spirit, so that is great to hear.
They have to. It's the unofficial halfway point between Adelaide and Melbourne.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and also in the past, I've seen the Lions Club of Nhill have a Christmas market and Christmas carols by candlelight, but I can't see anything recent this year. So maybe that's just it could be for related.
Because we're not there.
And then also, because we're not there. And when I was doing my extensive research, I did notice that the Nhill Roadhouse is open for Christmas dinner, and they have like this amazing Indian meal. I saw this on TripAdvisor, so it looks absolutely beautiful.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I love Indian and I love roadhouses. So that's like 2 worlds collide. Bring it on. So I did find out about the Nhill RSL sub-branch, right? It was founded in 1919. It's one of the oldest clubs in Victoria. So we're trying to find out if they're open for lunch on Christmas Day. You'd think so. I don't know. RSLs in Victoria are a lot bigger, a bigger deal than they are in South Australia. So I'm not sure. But you'd hope that they were open for Christmas Day, because that'd be a nice place to go for Christmas, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah, go and have a beer or have a glass of wine and, a hot kind of roast beef, veggies,
gravy,
plum pudding. It reminds me of that song. Who knows how to make gravy? You know who.
Paul Kelly knows how to make gravy.
He knows. Bring him over to the RSL. He's probably got nothing on. All right, Ben. Well, I reckon we nailed our first episode of Either Side of Nhill. And I have to tell you, I have a lot of content, and I could have kept going on and on, but we'll have to save it till next episode, because we actually have a family connection Ben chatted about before, and we want to explore that. So that could be next time, maybe.
There's so much to talk about. Not sure where we're going to insert it, but we make sure we will, because, it is our unofficial family halfway point between Adelaide and Melbourne, and we've all done that drive back and forth so many times over our lives. So we love stopping in at Nhill. So that about wraps it up. Thanks so much for listening. I guess we'll see you on the other side of Christmas and New Year. Big year for us. Breakup party is about to kick off, and it's going to be awesome. Thanks, Christy. This has been a pleasure. I've had so much fun.
I know, it's been so good. Bring on 22. Bring on 2022. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we will see you next year with our summer special.
I'm just going to get into my favourites box now too, by the way.
Oh, great. I'm glad you dressed up, and I'm glad you like your KK. So if you've got any of those Moro bars left.
Only Boost. I just leave the Boost. Who wants Boost?
You can have the Turkish Delight. The flake that goes everywhere when you open up the package.
You forget every time, don't you, and you wear it. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, thanks, guys. Have a great Christmas and New Year. We'll see you next year.
Oh, Christy, there's just one more thing that I didn't get to say. I actually owe you an apology, because this is going back a long time now. We're talking about over 20 years ago. We were exchanging gifts when I was living in Melbourne, and I asked you what you wanted, and you said that you wanted Jagged Little Pill, which was Alanis Morissette's album, which was very popular at the time. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, right, okay. So I went to the record store, and instead of getting you Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, I got you the best of Tony Childs. So I just want to say sorry. I should have just got you Alanis Morissette, Stop Your Fussin'. It was a great song, but it wasn't enough for a best of. So I should have just got, so that was a lesson to me. If someone says they want something, just get it. So I hope you can forgive me.
Oh, don't worry, Ben. Zach Cash converters. I got $2 for it.
Oh, good. Everybody wins. Merry Christmas.
Okay. Oh, good on you, Ben. So honest.